All right, the watch list for Friday, October 21st. Nothing real interesting on the SPYs, just in a very narrow range over the past 6 or 7 days and near the bottom of its wider range from the past 2 months. So, not a lot of action there. So, we just go ahead and start looking for stocks for tomorrow. I'm trying to get in the habit of doing the same kind of routine every day. So, I am going to talk about a couple real quick before I go into the list calls that I made in chat today. This is borderline, if I can call this a call. I was on the mic. I can't remember if I had the projector going at the time. And a couple people put this on my radar. And I said, the only entry I can come up with here would be just right around here, right around the 324 to 327 area. And your worst case stop, and this is one of the methods we teach in our course, but then your worst case stop would be below this candle at 310. So with a it was probably about 327 at the time I said it, with a 310 stop. That's not too bad. And you see what happened. It's hard for me to talk about it because I'd already had a squinky morning due to some orders that wouldn't fill. I just didn't feel right about anything. So in other words, I didn't take the trade. I ended up the day plus $670. So I certainly can't complain. I mean, that's a pretty good annual salary if you do that every day. But it should have been a much, much better day for me. But anyway, that was the call in DRWI. We had it on watch. It was in the video last night because I talked about it. I saw it in after hours having news yesterday. It ended up being the biggest mover of the day. But I didn't call along in it or even give an idea, I should say, till right about here. But you notice the timing was right because if you took it, you weren't underwater maybe at all. Another one I called to give you an example of what we look for in chat would be AEZS, and I'll show you why I called it. I called it at 510 with a worst case stop 499. So it took off out of the gate. I couldn't do anything with it. It kind of rolled over, tested the low of day. Still, to me, no trades. Remember, I like trades to work for me immediately when I take them. So if I can't find what I call an inflection point that should work right away, I just don't take the trade. So yeah, it would have been nice to buy this at the 20 period moving average on 5-minute candles. But I can't take size on something like that because I don't know, right? I don't know if it's going to bounce there, or if I take size right down here, it might just tank. So I really, really like to buy stocks just at those, I call them inflection points. So what happened? It rolled over. I think it took out the low of the day. Next thing you know, it climbs to the high of the day. I still don't feel comfortable taking it, but then we get this nice little flag here, right? It's just flagging. So when it looked like this, my thinking was this thing is super extended on the daily, but sellers can't knock it down, right? This rips through the high of the day. Sellers come in, right? You think, okay, maybe this was finally capitulation. And I'll slide over a small version of the daily chart. Now you have to picture at the time it was 5.10. It was around $5. So this was a solid green candle at the time, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4 solid green candles in a row. It's usually not a good idea, to get long on the fourth green day in a row up near the highs. So I didn't take this anywhere in here. I didn't take it on a high day break. And you see that volume there? I started thinking, okay, maybe that's capitulation. Maybe it's done going up. So then it starts to flag. And my thinking is, sellers couldn't knock this down still. If this hits 510 again, it's probably going to go higher, right? And with only 11-cent stop, it's worth it. So that was my idea for the call. There's the 510. Ended up going up all the way almost, I think, to 559. So it was a worthwhile trade, one of my better trades of the day. I wasn't great today, but still had a decent day. So there's an example of what I look for, and hopefully I explained well why I called it there. All right, so let's go back to the list. DRWI just goes on watch for tomorrow. Look what it did back here. I mean, it ran from 250 to almost 1050 in about a week. And it had a nice secondary pop here in July. And I'm not saying I expect it to go up again like that, but you have a high, you have a lower high, and you've got more volume than on either one of these runs. So it's a low float stock. This one, if it doesn't give me a trade tomorrow, I'm fairly confident we'll get a nice percentage gainer in it, maybe Monday or Tuesday. So again, I just wait for those inflection points, and it's already going to go on radar tomorrow, because a lot of times you get a second day play out of it. And if not, if it doesn't give me a setup, we won't take it. SCYX. All right, hang on a second here. I'm glancing at this, trying to think of why it's looking at the chart of why it's on the list, and never mind. I was looking at the wrong list. SCYX is not on the list. SPEX is on the list. This one had this breakout. Now 2 days lower on lower volume. It might turn back up tomorrow. Goes on watch. CONN had this nice pop on, let's see, today's Thursday, so on Wednesday, then a kind of quiet inside day to day, lower volume in the upper half of the breakout candle or the big move candle. So that one goes on watch for a possible third day play. BSPM, it's not getting any traction to the upside, but you had a nice move here, 355 to $5. So now you got a couple days lower highs on almost no volume. This is a good candidate to turn back up and rip. So it goes on watch. DRWI, I already showed you that one. MBRX. That's too big of a move for me to expect a play tomorrow, but it's got to go on watch. You can tell it's a relatively new issue, so not a lot of trading history. Biggest volume day it's had, even on IPO day. So this one's certainly worth watching. Maybe we get a red to green or something like that, but more than likely we'll catch a trade in it next week. Maybe tomorrow. We don't know. We'll see how it sets up, if it sets up. CTRV, really nice move. Now you've got 1, 2, 3 lower highs. I still like to see these things get down to the 8-day moving average. But you never know. All right, you had a green candle this day, red, and kind of an equilibrium candle there. I don't like to give trigger prices unless it's something really it's crystal clear on the daily. So I'll just watch it trade tomorrow and see if it gives a setup. OMER, just beaten up. Then it gaps up, sells off again. Looks like it's rolling over, and now it's finally getting some upside traction with decent volume. So I'm gonna look for a follow through day to this day tomorrow. And lastly, RTTR, another one that I would like to see it come in, but it came in today and ended up kind of running in the afternoon, or at least making, these are 15-minute candles, so at least making a decent little attempt. So this gets to the high 270s. This one might just make a run back to 3. I think it's worth watching. Again, I'd like to see it come in some more. All right, I'm going to head off and go get ready to do our 8:30 free webinar tonight. So I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a good night.